All right. Thanks. Okay, so uh, I want to talk about my experience related to a movie that I used to like back in the day when I used to look at movies. It's The Princess Bride. I want to talk about a specific scene in it, and that's the scene where Andre the Giant, who's Fessick, I guess in the movie, I think, if I remember right, he's carrying Vicini and the swordsman, the Spaniard, Inigo Montoya, and the princess up a rope up the cliffs of insanity. It's that part of the movie where the dread pirate Roberts, he follows them by boat and they get to the cliffs of insanity, right? This is if you've seen the movie, and if not, it doesn't matter. This still should make sense. But something came to me the other day what that whole scene represents, and and I realized it was a spiritual process that I went through, and that's how it related. It came to me the other day when I just happened to think about it for whatever reason. But here's what it is, or here's what it was to me. Conversations also, this is what triggered it. Conversations came up about psychology. I was talking with my son about psychology. We were talking about the super ego, the id, those three aspects of personality, how it's taught in psychology. So after we had that conversation, that scene of the movie came to mind, and it really made sense to me. And here's why. So the Dread Pirate Roberts, the guy in black, he represents what he represents is the totality of the dark night of the soul, the mirror test, what you are made of inside, you, all of you. What he represents is that. He represents past experience, the totality of experience, coming to revisit all of that experience to force it to be felt and dealt with in the mind. It's that psychological process happening in the movie. So, Andre the Giant, since Dread Pirate Robert, so this is about him, right? He's the overall character. Represent now all these characters, they represent an inner process happening in one individual being. Keep this in mind. So the scenes of the movie are playing out inside energetically, so to speak. So Andre the Giant, since Wesley, that character is a male, he's a male character that went off to seek his fortune across the seas, became Dread Pirate Roberts. You know, he did these he did maybe some nasty things when he was out, when he went on his journey into the world, so to speak. Taking the left hand path, so to speak, that path of severity, that path, that path of, you're not seeing what you're doing. You really don't know what you're doing. You're not feeling what you're doing. You're just going to run out blindly and seek your fortune. So that's what he did. So this to me tied together for me when my reality came crashing down and when my totality of my past experience came to revisit me, so to speak, the dark side of me, forced me to feel and think and reconcile all my past. Here's how it ties together for me. Andre the Giant, he represents the superego of the personality, the overall, say the neocortex, the overall personality of the male character. Now realize in the movie he's dumbed down pretty much, isn't he? He's controlled by Vicini. I think that's his name, Vicini. The snake guy, the id. He represents the id, the dark side of the personality, that instinctual take, greed, fear. It's also why he's the coward of the group, but he's also the mastermind because he's controlling that group of Andre the Giant, the superego who's dumbed down, who follows the instructions of this little snake character, the id, the instinct. And also at the same time, the swordsman, Inigo Montoya, he represents the ego, the image that we create for ourselves, that we view ourselves as, like for me, it relates in this way. My whole time in the military, this 20 years, I trained to be a soldier. As in the movie Inigo, trained to get the person that killed his father, who supposedly had 6 fingers on the left hand. Anyway, so all that training in the mind builds one up to think of themselves as this expert at whatever. In his case, it was the swordsman. It was all these techniques and styles, and he knew that whole swordsman scene. Anyway, so he represents that, the ego. So we got the ego, the superego, and the id, those 3 aspects of personality. The id, the reptilian brain, and then the image of the self, the ego, and then the superego, the overall. That's supposed to be all tied together. And who do they have prisoner? The princess. They have captured the feminine, the divine feminine feeling, care, love of that individual that has been captured and suppressed by the snake, the Sini. Because they've all conspired together now, right? The ego, the superego have all conspired with the id, because the id has convinced them that we need to suppress and take this feminine and be greedy and fearful and evil. So now that I've gotten way wherever I've just gotten to, let me try and pull this back in somehow into some kind of coherent sense. For me, here's how it played out. When my health came to like the very end, when I came to the very end of me and I didn't get what life was, my dark energy, the Dread Pirate Roberts, me, the dark aspect, my totality of me and my experience, came up the rope, so to speak, climbing after the ego, the superego, and the id that were above, up here, that kept me trapped up here. So it came up, that energy, and I had to deal with it, and I had to feel it. And here's how it kind of played out for me, like it did in the movie. That dark energy came up in me, and I fought every step of the way to figure out what went wrong, because I must have been right, because I always had good intent all along. So this feeling that's coming up, that I'm wrong somehow, that I have to face, it can't be right, it can't be true. Yes, it is true. Yes, it was true for me. And what happens in the movie is kind of like what happened, the process that kind of happened in me. So that dark energy, as I felt, and I went inside, and to deal with these things and my experiences, and to put relevance and coherence to things that didn't make sense and weren't supposed to, because they were so out of line with nature and truth and life, so out of line in some cases. I had to deal with all those things. So that dark energy finally, when it came up, like when he climbs the rope in the ego up there, the swordsman who says, I'm gonna have to do him left-handed, because that's the overconfidence of the ego, right? I'm an expert. I know everything. I know all this stuff. I felt the same way, right? The whole analyzing terrain, intelligence, preparation of the battlefield, Met T, Akoka, NCO Creed. No one's more professional than I am, a non-commissioned officer, a leader of soldiers. As a non-commissioned officer, you know, all of this stuff through the training to be this expert. That dark energy in me, like happened in the movie when the ego, the swordsman, finally had to admit, I admit you're better than me, but I haven't told you something. I'm not left-handed. That's something I was trying to tell myself. I'm not left-handed. I'm not on the left-hand path. I'm not this evil. But then, as in the movie, my dark energy also said, you know what? I'm not left-handed either. I was just playing along. Now I'm really going to beat your ass. And that's what I did inside myself, to myself, for myself. And in turn, I feel for everyone around me to get myself out of the dark place and to reconcile the darkness into something more coherent, like light, true light. So anyway, so the ego part. The Dread Pirate Roberts, Wesley, We call him Wesley, it's easier. He knocks out Inigo Montoya because he said he doesn't want to kill him. You know, you don't want to kill you. I'd rather destroy a stained glass window, he says, or something like that, than destroy an artist such as yourself. But I can't have you follow me, so knock you out. That's kind of what I had to do to myself. That energy knocked me out. My ego was out. I realized I was not what I thought I was. That was all images playing out in my head of what I thought I was. So now on, when he goes to the Andre the Giant, the superego, the male aspect of the self that you're supposed to be or think you're supposed to be. Same thing. The superego knows already, like, hey, you're not going to use weapons against me like that because that's not natural. That's not, we don't come with those weapons. We're not born with these claws or these swords or this or that. So we're going to face each other man to man, hand to hand, right? As nature intended, so Fessick says, which is correct. That's how it should be. That avoids all this killing and stuff that we see. So, still, he can't overcome that dark energy either because that dark energy is the totality of the individual, which includes all those aspects plus that divine feminine that's been captured. And that's what's coming up the rope with that dark energy. For me, that's what it was. For another individual, it might be that same energy on the other side of things coming for them in some other way, but things that their own experiences that are trying to be reconciled. So anyway, he knocks him out too. He doesn't want to kill him. This isn't about killing yourself. It's not, and it's not about killing others either, even though it happens in this story in just a second. But it is about metaphorically, well, knocking that out, the conscious, subconscious ego, superego, knocking that out, so then can move on like in the movie and deal with the id, the instinct, the fear, the greed, the snake. And you see that part in the movie, it's all based on intellect, what's been told. And that's how he phrases it all when they're going back and forth. He sits there and lets him spew all these stupid facts at him about this poison game that they're doing, right? Figure out where the poison is. Is it in my cup or your cup? It was that game. So, yeah, the intellect, the snake, the id sits there running through all this stuff. Well, and blah, 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 logic, except it's all logic that came from outside somewhere else, something he had heard somewhere. Like for me, something I had heard somewhere about life in general, so I thought I knew stuff. Well, that character had to die because just like in the individual, in me, that aspect of me, I had to metaphorically, allegorically, metaphysically, however you want, I don't care how you put it, I had to kill it because it was controlling me. Like in the movie, now fast forward anyway, he gets reunited with the divine feminine aspect of himself, which is in the movie his love, his outside love partner. But really, it's the inside of the self tying together in all the aspects and all the ways. But it takes that process. And here's the thing. The way it's explained with psychology and all that stuff, it's real, and you can picture it and you can feel it as it plays out, and you can feel it as it plays out. Thing is, it's a very spiritual process of growing that I went through that let me realize those things and really go in and deal with that dark part of me, which was only, that dark part of me was only experience of my past that I didn't fully comprehend or understand. And to really go in and really get it and look at things from a very neutral perspective, but very deep feeling perspective, it let me go deep into the despair of some of the things I had witnessed and things that have happened in life, because bad things happen, unfortunately. And if you don't fully understand what happened or understand what happened or has happened, you kind of keep playing out these mental roles of the ego or the superego or the id that's driving you in this outer direction all the time. Because that rope, when that dark energy is trying to come up and trying to let you know something is wrong, something has to be dealt with. Like in the movie, maybe that rope is getting cut before that energy gets fully up. That's what I kept doing. That's what I did for years. So to speak, cut that rope in there to stop that feeling from coming up, for me, to keep me, to save me from having to deal with my own feelings. And that's horrible. That's horribly childish. It was horribly childish of me. And the thing is, I didn't realize it. I really didn't realize it until it was almost too late for me. And nowadays, with the way reality looks, who knows? Maybe it really was too late, and maybe that's why I'm here now. Because maybe nothing's real. I'm just joking. I know things are real, and I ain't trying to go there like a snake oil salesman, because I can pinch myself, I can feel reality. Whatever reality might be, that's a whole nother thing, isn't it? Still curious. Oh, excuse me. Did that sort of make some sense?
Yeah, it did. It was nice.
All right. You know, I want to bring up something else too, because I brought the Hulk. Yeah, the Hulk. I always liked the movies, right? The superheroes, the comics, and all that stuff when I was a kid, when I used to look at that stuff. Some came to me recently about the Hulk, about that character, when I was looking at, that was the Thor movie with the Hulk. I looked at that movie. Anyway, it came to me, it hit me what the Hulk is, what the Hulk represents. And I was like, inside, I was like, oh, it all makes sense. The Hulk is a chick. Don't take offense. But it was funny how it came to me. It was like, oh, the Hulk's a girl, Hulk's a female. To me, it all came together like the Hulk represents the divine feminine. And that's how it was twisted to a male aspect to trick folk right off the bat. Because here's why. The Hulk is what? The Hulk is green, like nature, like life, like the heart chakra color, right? Green. And that represents care and love of life, nurture aspect of creation, right? Because why does the Hulk get mad? When the Hulk is hurt by outside forces, due to, you get what I'm saying? The Hulk gets hurt and then lashes out with rage, but in a male character, in a male form. But that's the divine feminine aspect of nature. So it's showing nature in a manner of speaking. The Hulk represents nature itself being hurt and attacked, and then Mother Nature, the rage of Mother Nature being unleashed. Just think about that. All the volcanoes going off everywhere, these earthquakes. And a lot of this, I know, and a lot of the stuff is also created. I get it. I'm just saying, there's a lot of things going on. And while it's not just Mother Nature, of course, just in a rage due to all of our mistakes and misactions and misguided things that we do here, I think it's a lot more than that. But I think that might tie together maybe a little bit with just how important things are nowadays, to look at things, to really, really look and consider things. Because there's a lot of things going on. There really, really are. All over the place and within us at the same time. Whatever process is going on, we're all going through it together. All life is. All life is going through whatever process this is. I'm convinced. And you can only act like you're not for so long before you can't act anymore. And I got to that point a couple years ago where I couldn't act anymore. I could not be an actor anymore. I had to figure out what and who and try to find a little bit of the where, what, how I was and of me and for me and about reality. I really had to take full responsibility, and it's a process. And it is the most amazing internal process that is available to all of us inside at any time. Whenever we want to go deeply enough into ourselves to really go through it and consider and learn and teach ourselves. Yeah, I'll stop there, I guess. Chicken's going, so. All right, I appreciate it. Anybody that watches, thank you. Could you get this?
Yep.
Thank
Gotcha. Yep.